All right, today we're gonna talk about throwing off the hump. It's a weird little phrase, but the concept is that you're gonna be having a lot of clay and then you're gonna pull all of these small shapes off the top of the hump. So it's a way to very quickly create lots of small wheel thrown forms. So I've got my clay, it's suctioned on, I've added a little bit of water to it, but I'm not gonna center the whole thing at once. I'm just gonna focus on this top piece here. So instead of keeping my hands at the bottom and pushing in and then pushing down, I'm just gonna kind of work at the very top, whatever amount of clay you wanna use, and I'm gonna push in. So I'm basically now separating it from the block. Okay, so now I can work just like I would normally work on centering that smaller piece of clay. Okay, sometimes in addition to holding your hands on the side and then pushing back down, sometimes I'll also do it simultaneously with a smaller piece where I keep my right hand on top, left hand on the side, and then I can push on the side and the top simultaneously. All right, so I feel like I've got it pretty well centered. Sometimes you can even like push the rest of the clay down just so it's not distracting to you. And now I'm gonna focus on my first form. So because I'm making a lot of smaller forms, once again, more gentle and less water and less speed whenever you're working smaller. So let's say this first one, I wanna make it into a little wide bowl type form. So I can do all of my typical steps of centering. I definitely didn't wedge this well. I can feel a big bump in it. But let's say I love it, and that's really what I was looking for this first part. When you're done creating it, you can take your wire tool and you can cut just below it, and then that becomes your first piece. You take it off, you put it on your board. Now I go back to my hump and I pick another chunk of clay that I want to focus on. So I'm pushing it in and separating it from the block once again. And now I can focus on making whatever element this is going to be. Let's say I want to make kind of a spout form, something that's a little more narrow and long and open. So I can take my chunk of clay. In this case, I'm kind of making it a little bit taller and more narrow. I can stick my hand down inside. And now I can focus on pulling it up. Okay, if I end up wanting to make it a little bit more narrow than it is, I can always go and work on necking it in, which is what we go over in the vase video. So pushing in on the sides, pushing in from all angles to make it a little more narrow. Now, if I was done with this, love it, cut it off again, and then I still have the rest of the hump that I could keep using to create more small works.